What's going on, you guys? We have another episode of Everything Uncovered. For those who do not know, my name is Coach Ike, DB specialist and consultant. This channel, we talk with defensive backs, former defensive backs who have played in the NFL or currently in the NFL, guys who have played college level, whether it's D1 all the way down to D3 and IA. High school guys, they share their journeys, share jewels, share their process and how they have learned and what they have learned, as well as guys that have transitioned on from football and what they're doing now, making impacts in their life and those that they also impact as well. I want to welcome you guys. Before we hop into our episode, which I'm super excited because I have history with this guest. He is a Pasadena native, has coached me. I had the opportunity also coaching and training with him. So I'm truly excited. But before we get into all of that, want to make sure that you guys tap in. Those who are looking to train, we have virtual training. So you do not need to be in the area or my city. I am located in California in the San Gabriel Valley area. If you guys are not local but would like to train, we have virtual products for you, which you are able to get access and train on your skills. No matter where you're at, we have it for all different levels, depending on where you are at in your journey as becoming a DB, to help you with footwork, ball skills, press man, football IQ, as well as recruiting. We have an ebook as well. All these things to enhance you and get you to where you want to go. Okay. If you are local and want to join us in group training, okay, make sure that I will put in this description box a link where you can add yourself to the groups. We have group training Tuesdays and Thursdays during the week at 7 p.m. where you get to learn in a group atmosphere and take your game to the next level with me. I'm Coach Ike. As well as we also have our DB membership, which we go more into depth. This is for guys who are more serious, who want to take their game to the next level, expedite that learning curve, right? So we have 3 tiers to this. One, if you're all virtual, you get access to this. That's one tier. Your second tier, we have another tier where now you have a certain amount of access to the group training as well as film breakdown, chalk talks, those things to take your game to the next level. And that aspect. And then our last tier is we have that same stuff. Now you get access to all the group training as well as those chalk talks, as well as film breakdown. And then we go over financial literacy. We go over recruiting. We go in assisting you how to gain attraction and exposure, as well as we also talk about NIL and how to produce that for yourself. All these things are in our DB membership. So make sure that you guys also check those out. If you are following on social media, any platform, Coach Ike DB Training, that's where you find, especially on YouTube. Okay. So that was a lot, but without further ado, I'm truly excited for my guest. Like I said, this is a Pasadena native. Truly high regards for this individual, as have definitely played a pivotal role in my life as a athlete, from high school all the way up to my professional level. So I'm truly excited for this conversation and can't wait for him to drop jewels for you guys. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Randy Horton, Coach Horton, with Above the Rest Training. So I gave the intro, but I want to talk about this. I said I'm excited. We've been talking about having you on the show for a while. And before we get into the questions, I was saying before, I appreciate everything you have done in my life because personally, you have made an impact on my life from high school all the way up to professional. So I wanted to give you your flowers before we started.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
So for those who do not know, Randy Horton, Coach Horton, right? born and raised in
Yep.
Pasadena, but he has been training and developing young athletes all the way to the professional. I mean, for years. I mean, since I've known Coach Horton, he's been doing this, and we're gonna get all into that. But Coach Horton, appreciate you hopping on.
Oh, thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
So to jump into this, Coach Horty, born and raised in Pasadena, you know, everybody upbringing is different in Pasadena. You know, can you share what was your upbringing like being raised in Pasadena?
Oh, man, just family setting, young man, grandmother made him go to church. Um, when I was growing up, everybody knew everybody like they still do. But when I was growing up in Pasadena, it was everybody else's parents can kind of correct you and they help guide you and help bring you up and everything. So nobody took it personal. I knew that if I was cutting up, my parents and their friends can do whatever and say whatever to me to correct me, get me right. So it was a family atmosphere growing up in Pasadena, man. I enjoyed it.
No, that's awesome, man. You know, things have changed as we continue to develop, and you know, this generation of kids, which we'll get into, is different, especially in Pasadena. But you know, we got some history as far as historically. There's two schools in Pasadena. There's John Muir High School, which is on the west side of Pasadena. Then we got Pasadena Bulldogs, which we are both Bulldogs. What made you attend PHS? And then was there ever like, hey, I did want to go to Mirror, but it just didn't work out?
It's funny you said it. You asked that question. When we were all doing our paperwork, I wanted to go to Mirror because my Pop Warner coach was alumni from Mirror, and all my friends was going there. But the last second, I decided, now I'm gonna go to PHS because my uncle played there, and I looked up to him and was always watching him beat up on Mirror and the Rose Bowl and everything. So I ended up changing. Then my mom went to PHS, so I said, you know what? Now I'm gonna be a dog still. So that's why I ended up going to PHS.
Okay. And you played multiple sports at PHS, correct?
Yeah, I played a little baseball before I threw my arm out, and I had to stop playing because I didn't want to get surgery. So I just went on and kept playing football. So I did love baseball. I had a couple of major league teams looking at me from what I was told, but had to stop because threw my arm out, throwing too many curves as a young man.
Got you. So as a multi-sport athlete in high school, right? And recruiting has just changed from now and when you was coming out at the time. During that process, though, what was your recruiting process for you coming out of high school?
Let's see. Back in high school when we were doing it, it was you had to send out a lot of letters. You know, the main thing back then, well, it's still the same thing as you got to have good grades, of course. You had to, man, well, the process was you had to respond to them if they sent you some, of course. Same, kind of like the same thing a little bit, but it was either big schools or nothing. Back in the day when I was growing up, you know. So, and then you had to take the SAT, so that was mandatory then. And I know they kind of skipped out on that a little bit now, but it was mandatory when we were doing it. You had to, and then it was easier to a sense that you only had to have 2.0.
Yep.
You know, they accepted D's back when I was in school, you know, but now, you know, that's not the case. So things are a little more challenging.
Yes, for sure. And Coach Horton, you are a taller DB, right? So of course, and you know, I think what you like 6'1", 6'2"?
6 feet.
You're 6 feet, so you're a taller DB, and I'm pretty sure, like you said, you play baseball. Was there a lot of schools that was getting your attention when you was coming out of high school?
I had a few, not too many, but I had a few. It didn't happen for me until I left Pasadena.
Yeah.
And then I learned the position. But back when I was playing, they considered me to be, my size was a big corner, 5'10", was considered big. Now that's not a big corner anymore.
Yeah.
So, mm-hmm.
So after there, you went to Mount Sac, which, you know, Mount Sac is the greatest community college in California. We also have that in common.
Right.
But JUCO
Yes.
has changed drastically from the time you've been there to now. You know, with all the rules saying, you know, JUCO, they're eligible to be there for 2 years, and then they will still have the eligibility once they transfer out. What advice would you give athletes today that are thinking about attending JUCO or are in JUCO now?
One, you know, find a school that's going to really help you academically, help you get to the next level as far as academics, and then make sure you work on your craft. Don't just go out and do the things that you like to do. Work on your weaknesses, and then you want to make sure that you go to a place where you can be the man. Basically, you want to stick out. You don't want to go somewhere where you're going to have to sit for a minute. I mean, you're going to have to compete anywhere you go. But I always say, work on your craft and weaknesses and go somewhere where you're going to get an opportunity to showcase your skills.
Yeah. No, that's definitely valid. Definitely. So I have talked to you. I've talked to Coach Johnson up at Mount Sac, and I still haven't been able to find it, but I'm going off you guys' story. So when y'all was at Mount Sac, just y'all DB group alone, y'all had like amongst just that group, y'all had like almost 20 interceptions, and y'all still didn't almost have a winning record. Y'all defense was balling out, but you bought out enough where now you get to go to Oregon State. What made you choose Oregon State out of all the schools that were pursuing you when you was coming out of Mount Sac?
Well, I had I was rated the top 5 in the state of California DBs, and I end up going to Oregon State because Coach Walker always told us, if you're a West Coast player, you kind of want to stay somewhere in the West Coast. If you go down south, they kind of don't take care of the West Coast players. So, and then Oregon State, I knew I can step in and play right away. But my ultimate goal, I wanted to go to UCLA. I was kind of set to go there, but I couldn't leave in the spring, and Carlton Greenwood could. So they took him over me. So I went to Oregon State because I knew I'd get a chance to play against them. So,
Got you.
Yeah, we did have a good group, but we couldn't put it together for the wins.
And you kind of said you put it together when you went to Mount Sac. What was the difference, or what did you learn from that point from high school, you know, transition to Mount Sac? How did Mount Sac help you so much where you're like, I figured it out as far as DB, as far as I know a little bit more information, I can apply this at a high level?
The coach I had, I mean, Coach Walker was a teacher. He taught me the game. He said I already had some ability. I believe I did have some ability, but I didn't really know the nuances of being a defensive back, all the different techniques, and then learning the game from him, the alignments, and these are certain routes to look for. I mean, the stuff that he taught me at that level at 18 years old, I mean, I was able to take it to, you know, every level that I went to. And then after that, still helping some young men, you know, at the pro level with the same techniques that he was teaching me.
No, Coach Walker, he's been doing it at a high level, end up actually going to UCLA. And we'll talk about how an opportunity came up for you to be there as well. But at Oregon State, obviously you're playing, doing everything. But I always ask this question: when you first got on campus and got there, because I'm pretty sure you know you probably never left the state of California up to this time and lived there somewhere else. So what was your, like, how was it for you to go up to Oregon State? Because Oregon State is in the country, for people who don't know, right? It's farmland. How was that for you going up there to Oregon State?
Well, if I had a chance to compare by taking those trips to different schools, and I like the rain. I wasn't a guy that was really big going to clubs and partying, that kind of stuff. So Oregon State was actually a good fit for me. They were growing. And I mean, the support that I was getting from the coaches and the administration actually made it a good choice. But I mean, and still was only 12 hours. I still can drive home if I needed to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it was definitely a change. It was definitely a little culture shock coming from California and never experienced being in the snow. That was something that was different, but I
Yeah.
enjoyed it though. I enjoyed being up there.
Nah, that's awesome. Now, I love Oregon. Used to live in Portland, played up there, so I definitely know that atmosphere is a little different, definitely from California.
Yes.
So, after Oregon State, you had an opportunity to go play in the CFL. Can you share how that process back then? How did that work? Because you know times have changed. CFL was really competing at this time. You know, with the NFL at somewhat. Now it's kind of NFL is kind of took over and is the juggernaut. So how did that opportunity come about with the CFL for you?
Well, I was very fortunate for that opportunity because the general manager, Jack Obilovich, was alumni of Oregon State.
Mm,
So I didn't have to really work out for the team. They decided me because I came from Oregon State. But going to Canada, you know, being out of the country, it really wasn't like being out of the country because to me, Canada's kind of like still like the U.S. to me, to a certain extent. And it's an hour away. The team I went to play with Toronto. They're an hour away from New York, from an hour away from Detroit, Michigan. So my uncle was able to come. The process back then was I won't say it was easier. It, it was different. I'll just say that much different. You didn't have as much exposure to Canada like you do now, because now they're on ESPN and all that stuff. We weren't really on TV as much like they are now.
Nah, for sure. And I read an article that you decided like, hey, you know, I'm done. I'm going to pursue a career in track and field.
Yeah.
Why? What made the change from you leaving now at the CFL to go do track and field?
Well, I mean, I can be honest now. I actually left the team. I made the team in Toronto and everything, but I was homesick. Of course, I shouldn't have made that decision. Uh, there was a scout from Miami Dolphins that was up there that said, "Man, you just stay healthy. You will have an opportunity to play in Canada. I mean, play in the NFL. So just stay healthy." From that point, my mindset kind of changed. I was like, "Well, I don't belong here. I belong in the NFL."
Yeah.
But after that, after getting homesick and I was training with my mentor, Dr. Frank Little, God rest his soul. Maurice Green came up to me. I used to train at UCLA all the time, and he said, "Hey man, have you ever thought about running track?" He said, "You could be a good sprinter." I was like, "Really?" I said, "No, I never thought about it."
Yeah.
So started training for it and told Doc I wanted to, become a professional sprinter. And the rest was history. I didn't know that my parents both ran track. My dad ran the hurdles, my mom ran the 100. So it was in me. Coach Walker and a couple of coaches used to always say, "Man, you need somebody to just help bring it out of you."
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it took off.
So you didn't even run in high school at all, like track at all?
No, nope. Nope. I was going to, but I didn't. No.
That's crazy. And
No.
and like you said, Doc, high regard, someone as well. Doc has been around for a long time, and Doc, he's done touched so many people as far as his influence and helping people as well. Had an opportunity to be coached by him as well. So now that's crazy. So had the opportunity to play in the CFL, which a lot of people don't get an opportunity. And then you're like, you know what? I want to step away and go on the track. That's awesome. So how long did you stick with track? And he was like, you know what? I want to start making this transition where I want to start training or start coaching people.
Track. Wow, I did it for maybe 3 years. In the third year, I was getting ready to turn pro, but I ended up suffering an injury that was pretty bad. I just said, you know what, I'm done doing this. But I never thought about being a trainer ever. It never crossed my mind. But one day I showed up to the hill and Doc said, "You ready to do it?" I said, "Ready to do what?" He said, "Man, you ready to train your own people?" I said, "Doc, that's not. I don't know nothing about that." He said, "Yes, you do."
Yeah.
So my first client was Matt Milton that went to St. Francis High School. He ended up being High School Player of the Year. So
Wow.
from that point on, Above the Rest was born. You know.
Nah, that's crazy.
No, I just said he was telling me that he was training me, preparing me for that. But I never envisioned, never. That was never inside of me. But after doing it, it became just a passion. I just love seeing people body change. I love working with the underdogs, and just seeing them rise, man, and just performing when people say that they can't do it. I love helping them.
So Above the Rest started there at that time. Do you recall what year this was when you started training?
Yeah, I believe it was 1995.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So
Yep.
so fast forward because this is
Yeah.
where you know, I'm at PHS. I believe this is my sophomore year. So that I want to say
Mm-hmm.
06, '07 year. I don't even believe you was there at the beginning of the year, but you became the defensive coordinator at the end of the year. And I know we was truly excited for you to come back. And right before the season started, though, our junior year, I believe, or it might have been senior year, you was going to be the defensive coordinator. And an opportunity came, and you had to go up to UCLA, which we was not upset as players. We understood, like, man,
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity for you. How did that opportunity come about, though, for you to go up to UCLA?
I ended up getting a job because, well, Coach Walker was over there, but I
Mm-hmm.
had been training Matt Ware for his pro days and everything. So when Matt went back for his pro day, Coach Durrell and all the coaches was like, "Man, you look different. Like, what were you doing? Who was you working with?" So Matt ended up telling them, um, Carl and Dwayne talked. They gave me a trial run, like come out there for twice a week I would come.
Mm-hmm.
And they would pay me for coming out there twice a week for like a month. And after they saw what I was doing with the team, the players were saying they liked what I was doing. They ended up hiring me full time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And at that point in time, what did that mean for you in that moment? Because of course, you know what you're doing for these athletes, but for a school to recognize, and especially a school that you wanted to attend, they recognize and like hire you. How did that feel being hired and seen in that light as far as producing in your area?
Man, it was like a dream come true. I mean, wanted to play there, but then I got an opportunity to coach over there for a minute. So it was like, man, just blessed to get the opportunity. Everything lined up right at the time. And then it showed me that I actually can do it at this level. I doubted myself. I was a little nervous at first, but when I got over here and I started just doing what I knew,
Mm-hmm.
man, it gave me a lot of confidence after that. Once I saw that I can do it, and I started seeing the transformation of the team, the football team ended up being one of the fastest teams in the Pac at that time, Pac-12. Had what 7, 8 guys go to NFL from that team.
Yeah. And 2008, so with a new coach comes in, which they bring the new strength coach as well, and you were not retained. But I read an article that there was high praise, as you mentioned, that the players, they really advocated for you. They wanted you to stay there. Um, you know, as far as they saw an improvement with their speed and everything. How did that make you feel at that moment? Now that you at the D1 level, doing what
Mm-hmm.
you do at a high level, and then it's gone just in 1 year.
Well, it definitely showed me that it's a business. Let me see that. But the strength coach at that time said I wasn't qualified, and I was trying to figure out, well, why? How come I'm not qualified? And basically because I didn't have a degree.
Yeah.
So I was over there. I didn't have a degree at the time, but I said, well, I was able to be here without a degree the year before. I said, so that makes me not qualified. In his eyes, he was right.
Mm-hmm.
So it lit a fire up on me. So I went back and got my degree, and I said that this will never happen again.
Yeah.
And I told him that, man, I'll be back. And when I come back, I'm gonna come back even stronger than I was. So it made me go back to school. and take care of the paperwork.
No, that's big. I definitely know. And you end up training, multiple guys for their pro days for the NFL. Guys like myself who not in NFL but playing professional, rather be in a CFL arena, stuff like that. How do these opportunities though come about as far as training these pro guys for the NFL? Because this is a business relationship business, right? And because you do what you do at a high level doesn't mean that guys will necessarily know about you. So how do you get guys to come, or how do they hear about you as far as, hey, you should train with above the rest for your pro day or things like that?
A lot of it came from just the guys that I were training, really. Word of mouth. They went back and really would spread the news and spread the information for me. Some of it was advertisement, but most of the guys, they went back and they were telling their agents, they were telling their friends, and then from that point on, everything just started to move forward.
Yeah.
Different coaches that I knew, they found out that I was doing it, and then they would tell people. So it just, once everybody started really just sharing information with other people, it just really started to grow.
No, for sure. And I remember I came back from Middle Tennessee. So in high school, you're training us, and you don't know what you don't know in high school. And the higher you go, you be like, man, Coach Horton or Coach Mills, all these people, they actually knew what they was talking about. Like, they had us on a different level. So I had the opportunity from high school, and then I'm not training with you. Then college is over, and even though I'm not going to talk about my pro day, but that whole debacle happened. But you stepped in, actually bench pressed 225 18 times as a corner, which is unheard of, and Coach Horton had me nice and strong, but I came back and he was like, Arnez, man, you too big. You can't move. And it wasn't even, I wouldn't even say it was 3 months. Within 3 months, though, you had me lean, still strong, and faster than ever. So I can attest for what you have done, like I said, personally for me, and able for me to change my body where I need to perform. But like I said, people who don't know, I'm like, man, y'all got to go to Horton. Y'all tripping, right? Y'all shouldn't be talking to anybody else. Anybody else. So 2010, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 2010, opportunity comes around where now the PHS job comes. Now you become the head coach. What is your mindset taking that job? And then what did you learn about yourself during that situation?
Well, once I became the head coach, I was just like, okay, let me try to keep it going from what Coach Mills had it, but try to take it to the next level. Kept some of the things that he did, but the thing that I learned is you got to be yourself. You take some of the information that you get from others, but you got to do it the way that you see it. And the biggest thing I would say is, you got to just do it your way, 100%. And I don't believe that you need to hire people that you know all the time. I think you hire the most qualified people. And I think when you do that, then everything will take off, as long as they believe in your plan and your vision.
Got you. So you was there for 3 years. During your tenure there, and you stepped down, you resigned. Did you feel like you met your goal, or it was just time for you to, hey, I want to go on to the next level or do something different?
Sometimes sometimes it kind of gets me that I shouldn't have stepped down. I should have stayed with it. I should have just kind of revamped some different things. But been there, done that. It was exciting at the time. I know I came up a little short with my goal, but I learned a lot from being a head coach. I understand that it's not as a glamour position as everybody think until you get in the position, because you have to oversee everything and everybody.
Yeah.
So, and you can't make everybody happy, so.
No, for sure. So after this, you have coached various teams rather sports, football, track, you've been a head coach or, just an assistant or something like that. But you even came back to PHS when I was there coaching, so I had the opportunity. You was the defensive coordinator, I was the DB assistant. But as far as football standpoint comes, what advice or where do you see football is going looking forward with these high school recruits though? Because this NIL transfer portal is kind of changing everything. So where do you see it is going for these high school recruits coming out of high school these days?
Well, one, I would tell all the kids, man, do more than one sport. And the sport that you have the most passion for, it's gonna elevate anyway, the one that you really love to do. And now that they have the portal, you definitely have to be on your game, even more than you were before. If you're gonna hire somebody to help you, you got to make sure that you really are working on your craft. Again, it comes back to that and your grades. I mean, I heard a couple of coaches say that they're not even recruiting a guy if he doesn't have a 3.0. So now that you have the portal, a lot of college coaches, they're like, well, why do I need to waste my time with a high school kid that I don't know if he can handle this academically or the mental, physical part of the sport. Yeah. So they'll just go get somebody that's already made. So I'll just say, man, young man, make sure you guys are really working on your bodies, working on your craft, your game, and your academics, man. If you get above 3.0, man, do it. Make yourself marketable. Go do more than one thing.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you've been training since 95. And from this time, things have changed. You have continued to change, how your business look. But what have you learned about business aspect during this time? Because, I'm pretty sure you've changed some things up. I'm pretty sure prices or whatnot. Overall, what can you share as far as what you've learned about business for your business?
Well, one of the things I learned that that's one. But now too, it's you have to have people pay for 4 weeks at a time. They got to pay up front. Now the payments are done. It's done differently. One, because I have the experience now and the result. And then I don't want to I learned that you don't need to take on everybody. You don't want everybody. You want the right people that's going to fit your program and what you want them to do. And because they're going to be a representation of you. So I've learned that you don't need to go out and try to get everybody. You just want the right people. And if you're putting out the right product, they're going to come. They constantly come. I got people that call from, I'm training guys up in Canada right now. That's in Canada, so, and back east and stuff. So, and evolving a little bit, you can do some things online. And so that was a little change for me because I'm so used to being hands-on. I learned that you can do some things, over the computer now. Mm-hmm. So that's been different. So, yes.
What was the first thing that you shared?
The first thing that I shared, was there's no loyalty.
Gotcha.
Loyalty.
Ooh. Yeah. Can you go into that more? I know what you mean. I just had this conversation literally probably like 2 hours ago, and it's crazy you said that, but can you go a little deeper on what you mean by that? No loyalty.
It's today's generation. I'm noticing that they're going to go to the newest thing, the last person that talks to them in their ear, and what can you do for them? It's very rare that they're talking about, okay, I'm willing to work. This is what I need to do to get to this point. It's about what can you give them. And when you're pouring into these young men or women, whoever you're training, sometimes they leave and you don't even know why they left. Yeah. But again, once I've learned that you don't want everybody and everybody's time is not going to be with you for long, I'm okay with that now. Yeah. I don't even take it personal because business is business.
Yep. That's a bar. That's a bar. And Coach Horton, I want to ask you because I struggled with this at first. I was helping clients, get to where they wanted to go. and I was just asking for some testimonials.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they made it to where they wanted to go, actually produce on a high level. Personally, they thanked me. Like, hey, we wouldn't be here without you. We thank you. But publicly, it wasn't reciprocated. And you know, like I said, they got what they wanted, but at the same time, it's like I sacrificed that price for them because that's what they said they could do. But when they got there, they couldn't reciprocate, you know, the love or the confirmation that, hey, you know, I helped this person out, this and that. What do you say? Because I know trainers, I know people who are struggling with this, right? What would you say with incidents like this?
Well, I learned from Tom Brady's agent told me that, you know, that's what I got into doing contracts, make them sign a contract. And you want to create where they pay you up front because, you know, once they make it, a lot of times they forget. They want to be with what's, like I said, what's new. And like I said, just don't take it personal because it's business. And I would definitely say make them sign a contract and make them give you what your compensation is up front. Mm-hmm. And when they don't give me any recognition, I don't, or say anything to anybody, I don't really, it doesn't bother me because they know the truth. And I always believe if you need me once, you're going to need me twice. But if you need me twice, you're going to pay the price.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a bar right there. That's a bar. So you're currently a strength and conditioning coach in college, but you also focus on speed and other things like of that stuff. But what are some most common areas that you see most athletes they need to focus on?
A lot of it's posterior chain. A lot of young men, they don't really work on the posterior chain of the body. I'm always explaining to them that the stronger your glutes are, the stronger your legs are going to be. Okay, work on your hamstrings and your glutes, and everything else is going to follow. Of course, I learned too that the center of the universe is your core, because everything follows that. The stronger that is, but really the posterior chain, I noticed that's very much neglected in functional strength. I mean, you don't have to just live in the weight room. I mean, running hills and stairs is I mean, I do those things to this day. I don't change it, you know.
I want to know because, you know, people, I tell people I used to try to kill myself. I was working too hard. And I said, the thing is, though, when Coach Horton, Coach Horty, he would try to have you throw up. So if the workout, if it was easy to you, Coach Horty was going to make sure he got something out of it. So is that still the mindset for you sometimes, or is it like, you know, I figured out, you know, I know when to dial it up, and sometimes like, you know, we're gonna coast, or, you know, is it the same? Like, man, I'm gonna bring the best out of you every time we come out.
No, it's a little different. I'm still gonna bring the best out of you, but it's about quality now over quantity, you know. Mm-hmm. And it depends on what sport you're doing and where you're at and what time of the year it is for what I'm gonna really do for you. But it's more about quality instead of the quantity. But I'm still gonna, you know, work you. So.
So I got two more questions for you, Coach Horton. And you know, it's a lot of people, they are debating about this whole thing as far as who are the best athletes as far as when it comes to sports. Now, I think I know your answer because we talked about them before. But with basketball, football, or track, who would you say are your best athletes when it comes to just pure athleticism?
Track athletes. Track athletes are your best. They're the most explosive, most powerful athletes in the world. Mm-hmm. Every other sport mimics something that you do in track, whether it's the high jump, that's basketball, you know, speed, that's football, that's running the track and stuff like that. Doing what, long jump, hurdles and everything, again, that's basketball. So you gotta have, I always say you need a track background. you should always have one of those. It helps you for every sport that you do.
Oh, facts. So I want to get your opinion on why, why everybody should run track. And I'll give you my opinion first. Like, not even that she's working on mechanics and speed. I think it's a mentality. Track was the very first thing for sport I ever did. So by the time I played football, I knew like it's just me against everybody else. And I just had to figure about competing. And I feel like if you compete, and there's something about you coming in and last, butt naked last, you never like that feeling. And there's no hiding. There's no hiding on that track.
No.
Like football, football, you can kind of hide. You can hide a weak link. You can hide if you're not good.
Yep.
In track, though, if you don't have the speed, it's gonna show up on that track, and everybody knows. So, why would you say that everybody needs a background in track, though?
And it's definitely a mentality, because you're gonna find out early how tough you are mentally doing a 600 breakdown or 300s or running the hill. It's gonna help you push through things that you didn't think you could push through in other sports. I'm not saying that the training for other sports aren't hard, but nothing is more difficult than getting out there trying to run, doing some 600 breakdowns or some repeats. And then, like you said, the embarrassment of coming in last. You don't want to be out there in front of everybody and it's 9 lanes. You don't want to be coming in 8 or 9. That's not what it's about. So, and you got to compete. It keeps you competing all the time. And you got to compete with yourself and the clock, and then the person that's next to you. So, track works. It works on a little bit of everything: the mental, the physical, and it helps you. It helps you with later on in life too. When things get tough, you're like, wait a minute, I remember I used to have to run that hill and have to do this and that. It helps you push through life. So
that is true. I like you said, I've never heard nobody say, "Man, I can't wait to go to track practice." Not a soul. Not a soul.
No, not at all. My first little workout in track, I was like, man, I had a newfound respect for track athletes. I was like, oh, this is serious.
I kind of want to go back to that because, and I was having this conversation about track, and this is my mentality. Like I said, I ran track. That was the first sport. I love track. But when it comes to the getting rewarded, so it's some kids who run track all their life. They even go to college, and the amount of time that you spend on track, the possibility of you turning pro is very low. And then even when you do go pro, there is no guarantee that you are going to be able to make a living off that, because it's based off where you place on how you get paid. But this whole time, you're training, you're doing these things. So this is what I've been saying to myself lately, just seeing the reward of how much time you put into it is not really rewarding compared to other sports. And I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Well, track is definitely for elite. I definitely understand why they call it the elite. Because if you're gonna get paid, you got to be elite.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to go to a Division I school to run track, you have to be elite.
Yeah.
So, and then the gratification is not as fast, it's not as early as other sports. Say it's football or basketball. You have to go through the levels to get to that point. And when you do get to that point, you have to figure out how to stay there. Mm-hmm. And that grind is totally different, I think, than doing other professional sports. Yeah. Because that's definitely a big discipline. Because you got to be very disciplined with your eating, with how you rest, how you recover. I mean, how you do everything has to be programmed out just right for you when you are on that level. So to me, elite athletes in track, that's what they are. But I see why they make some of the money that they make, though.
Yeah, they definitely do, especially all on their own, marketing, sponsorships, all those things. So, Coach Horton, this is my last question. What's the next goal that you have in your sights for you now?
Now I'm kind of desiring to go back to college to either coach football. But since I've been a defensive coordinator, it's kind of hard for me to want to be a position coach again, especially all the stuff that I've learned from all the coaches I've been around. I think I still got a lot to offer the game. And I love doing my strength and conditioning. So it's whichever one takes me back to that level, I think that's the one that I'll do. But I am kind of want to get back into coaching a little bit more, even if it's in track, you know. Mm-hmm. So I like the aspect of competing against somebody.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. Coach Horton, where can people find you on social media or your YouTube or whatever you have going on?
You find me on my website, abovetherestacademy.net, or you can go on Instagram. You'll see me at abovetherestacademy05.
And there you have it, Coach Horton. Appreciate you for your time. You know, it's nothing but love. Yep. We need to connect soon too as well. I know you out there in the
yes.
and everything, but definitely we got to tap in. And like I said, much love and appreciate you.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Same here.
All right, Coach Horton. Talk to you.